Ladies and gentlemen, Adam Noble-Forcey here for Seconds Out. I'm joined with Kalle Sauerland here in Riga, Latvia. How are you, Kalle?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay.
It's been a while face to face, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been... How long's it been? Over a year. We spoke on Zoom this time last year.
Yeah, it must have been like the Premier Daughter Course press conference, could be.
Yeah. Well, that brings me on to my first point. We were meant to have the World Boxing Super Series here. And you just made a comment about not really wanting to come here at the moment because of the government restriction.
Because I mean, I love this country. My daughter is half Latvian.
You're joking, really?
And I can't get over what we've been through this week with the COVID and stuff. They come in last minute with the different restrictions. You know, UK passes aren't allowed, etc. But I'm not a politician, not going to go into it. But as a promoter, the hurdles we've had to go through this week have been a nightmare. And anyway, they've stopped events now till January. So,
yeah, very annoying. The point I wanted to make, though, we were meant to have the World Boxing Super Series final in Riga, which would be huge for any country, let alone a small country like this. From what I heard, is that they just didn't turn up to the meeting or just forgot about it. Is it just laziness?
Literally was a case of... It was literally a case of, I wouldn't blame it just on the Latvians on that occasion. It was very much the flight ban of Trump that, put the final nail in the coffin. But we were still trying to resuscitate it every day, and then Trump came overnight with that. The Latvians didn't help at all. It does have this disjointed feel of it because, ultimately you've got Briedis, you've got Ostapenko, and you've got the guy who plays in the NBA, right? I think that summarises pretty much the global scene of Latvian sport. Yeah. And, Mairis at the moment is the one who's the world champion, three-time world champion, Muhammad Ali trophy, Ring Magazine, cruiserweight number one. And, he's the number one in the division, and that's something great for Latvia. And it was, the support could be a bit more.
Yeah. Does Mairis feel like he's a little bit underappreciated by the government? Not the people. You could see how much they loved him.
Yeah, I mean, he's got his views, and I'll let him voice his own views. But like a lot of people, he's in the, boxing career isn't an eternity, and your peak is very short.
It's right now,
and he's in the peak, isn't he? He's 36. Yeah. So he's got maybe a 3-year in the peak. Yeah. So he's in the middle of it. And this is not helping them, but he's not alone in that. It's just there are certain things that's happening in Latvia at the moment that aren't exactly helping that.
Yeah, well, I would say a lot of people.
It's not COVID; it's decisions around the way it's being handled. That's not.
Yeah, living here, no one's really got like a political agenda. Everyone just wants them to make up some sort of idea or plan.
It very much seems to be a government that's scared to make decisions.
Yeah, no one wants to be in charge.
The decisions come out which are very difficult for promoters to handle because they're not. If they're clear-cut decisions, fair enough, black and white. But there's so many grey areas. I was talking about the UK vaccines not being accepted in that and things like that.
My mum came over 2 weeks ago and she wasn't allowed to. Luckily, it's okay.
So it's an interesting one.
Yeah. So no fights in Latvia, which is a real shame because it's a great arena. The atmosphere is amazing. You said there was 5,000 in there tonight, so it was half full and still crazy loud.
You're allowed 60%, so. It was full.
Oh, okay.
According to.
Oh, okay. You were only allowed 60%. Sorry, I lose track of the laws.
It was exactly that. Well, there you go. There's that grey area again. I mean, it was. The crowd is so good here, though. It felt fantastic, and it did feel good to be back in Riga promoting. It's a fantastic venue, and I said we wouldn't be back, but we will be back.
I hope so.
Stage. Yeah, of course.
I hope so. Obviously, we've got the LNK who we're working with tonight. We've had big plans all year and done nothing.
And they, to be fair, they do stick on very good local shows, and that's where the next Briedis will come from.
Yeah, well, I was just going to come on to that, actually. We've had a couple of fighters sort of break through into the rankings. Ralph Vilkans, Richard Bolotnick's.
Yeah, Bolotnick's been the notable one, isn't it? And I've got to say, before the Boazzi fight, I didn't know too much about Buatsi. I mean, I knew about him. I watched all his fights, but we didn't really know, did we?
No.
And I think that was a fight where we found out sort of Richard's level, how far he can go, but we also found out how good Buatsi is that night.
I think so.
I think, it was the acid test, wasn't it? I don't want to be horrible to Richards there, and I think he can learn from that and come back. I think he's a great coach, same coach as Briedis, very good coach. But it's great to see Bolotnik's doing. It's good to have Mairis, of course, carrying the flag. But to have people coming up behind, and you start to see a couple.
Well, they're all inspired by Briedis. Every time I speak to them, they're saying, "Oh, Mairis is my hero," and all this.
It's a phenomenon, isn't it? I mean, it's why in the UK are kids picking up gloves because of Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury?
Under one of the bridges, I saw like 4 kids just sparring each other.
Yeah.
And this has all happened ever since Mairis Briedis. I wouldn't say boxing was as big before.
Yeah.
So it just seems like a real shame that they're not taking advantage of it. I'll stop being negative about Latvia, and we'll move on to the fight.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I could go on all day talking about that. Arthurmann, great performance, did what he had to do. What did you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, Arthurmann was in the deep end. We knew that before. It was a voluntary. It was 4 weeks' notice. It was, on the end of a negotiation, a 3-month negotiation with the Polish.
Yeah, I heard some horror stories.
Yeah, it was horror stories don't quite do it justice. But the reason we took Arthurmann is I know him, and I know he's a solid boxer. Yeah. And actually, he traded quite nicely first round and a half, and then he got stuck in, and then he got one. I think there was a body shot in there. I haven't seen any slow-mos, but it was a left hook counter, which I saw them working on in sparring a couple of weeks ago, and it was. But I think it was a body shot that really hurt him as well.
Yeah, it was a body shot. Yeah.
And from there, he didn't really recover.
Yeah, he's the best. He's the best in the division. So.
And when Mairis gets you, he doesn't really let go. No. So once he's got you, he's got you, and he didn't let go.
Yeah, you look like a killer tonight. Okay, reason I was sent to you is because apparently there was going to be a big Lawrence Okolie announcement as soon as the fight finished. There was a big rumour going on. Obviously, I'm not in London, so tell me about that. Obviously, there hasn't been an announcement.
We've had lots of conversations, Eddie and myself, over the last year.
Yeah.
Lawrence calls them out after every fight. So does Eddie. We said we're ready.
Yeah.
I said, well, I'm happy to do it here. Obviously, at the moment, we've got a bit of an issue there till January, but that fight wouldn't be before probably February.
Yeah.
Let's talk turkey.
Yeah.
So wait for that offer to come to the UK. At the moment, we can't do it in Latvia. Use that opportunity, because as soon as it opens up here again, we will, which will be February, March. Then we can do it over here. But I don't think that they fancy it over here, and so I'm not going to waste time barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah.
So Ed's got a good deal with the zone in the UK, and we'll go ahead and do that.
Okay.
It's got to be the right financial deal. But Eddie and myself have put on some very, very, very big fights over the years. Many, many, many big fights over the years, and I'm sure this is another one.
Eddie's been quite open talking about it, as has done Okolie. So what's stopping it from getting it signed?
I'll be messaging him in a second saying, where is the check?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fantastic.
And what is on that check?
Okay, that's the sticking point then. How do you pronounce his name? Optapai.
But actually, I don't want to. My pronunciation on names is not the greatest. But then again, everyone says Kalle, Kelly, Callie, Kiwi, Callie.
Yeah.
So I know the.
We'll call him the IBF mandatory challenger for the moment.
He's a very good boxer. I'm in discussions with Dean, his manager, promoter, that's a fight that will happen.
Yeah.
The question is what order it comes in. Oz is in lockdown at the moment. They seem to be doing very well of getting out that lockdown now.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess that's those two fights are the ones top of the radar. But there's other fights out there as well at cruiserweight, and eventually the road will go to heavyweight.
Yeah.
You know, but
Well, he's been there before.
he's knocked out the WBA world champ, Manuel Chai. Knocked out Chai in a few rounds. But in one of actually a showreel knockout, you haven't seen it. Go and have a look at it. And that was a decision actually during lockdown in this topsy-turvy time. We'd already taken to go up to heavyweight. We were quite ready to do it internally, but Fury Joshua didn't happen. Fury Joshua was the basis of that decision because we thought, okay, it was going to be a winner, obviously, and there'll probably be 2 fights, and then all the belts will go flying everywhere.
Yeah, of course.
And we'll be in a position, being a 3-time world champion, to quickly get into the top 5, fight an eliminator, and boom, got world title shot heavyweight. That was the plan. The fight, Fury Joshua, didn't happen, so we looked at it, and Mairis put on some weight, took it off again, and looked fantastic tonight.
Yeah, he looked great, to be fair. He looked brilliant. Obviously, you got Latvia against Australia. What am I right in thinking that's got to be made by April? Is that correct? The Optipi fight?
Yeah, although at the moment it is, there's certain COVID, I would say, circumstances around for the Australians, so we'd be flexible if we were going down there, and I'm sure they'd be flexible if they were coming up here. I think, everyone wants to. We have to make the mandatory. It's not that we want to necessarily fight Octopi, but he's our mandatory. Tough guy, tough Aussie. Good, skilled fighter. Who will know he's in the deep end, Yeah. The question is, can he swim?
Yes, good point. So if you have the Okolie fight, that would get rid of your mandatory, yeah? That would trump your mandatory. I forget which ones do that, yeah?
Yeah, it's a unification.
Yeah, so that would take over from that. Okay, that's good. During this will be my final question. Obviously, congratulations with the Wasserman boxing deal you set up.
I haven't seen you in that long.
Yeah, I know, it's been that long. I've been in Germany quite a lot, actually.
Listen, we're 6 months in. Tonight we had a sort of double-header evening for us. We had Chris Eubank Jr. boxing, fantastic. I saw the first 4 rounds live until the walk-in. They unfortunately clashed, but he stopped him, I think, in the 5th. So we had a big victory in Newcastle on Sky, and then obviously over here tonight. And when you're doing those sort of double-header weekends, one on Sky in the UK and one here in Latvia in this fantastic venue for the IBF World Championship, then you know that things are starting to get good again, and the events are coming back. I think we've got the last quarter of the last 3 months of the year, we've got 6-7 events. So that will bring us back up to that 25-30 event per year mark.
Wow.
Which is something that for 2022 is our aim and we just did a big deal with partnering with Pro Bellum into Germany.
I was just going to ask about that, actually. Yeah.
So it's interesting times.
Well, yeah, I've randomly found myself involved in the German boxing world, in Hamburg specifically. What are the plans for Germany? I think it's a great scene. The fans are great. Lots of different demographics. Seems really cool.
We've had a lot of experience, obviously, in Germany. We've represented most of the biggest German names over the last 3-4 decades.
Yeah.
But, or 4-5 decades, actually, if I look back in Tim Sauerland's history. But Germany needs a world champion. It's very simple. It doesn't have a world champion. Arthurmanns tonight came up short. If you ask me, there's some very good talent there.
Yeah, some good fighters.
But it's now time for someone to perform at that level. Abbas Baru is a man that I think can do it. You've got
he's
Dennis
still signed with you, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. He's training with Adam Booth, and he'll be out on our show, our first big show in Germany in a long time now. We're since COVID, really.
I'll have to come.
Yeah, it's in Ilsenburg near Hanover. Dennis Radovan.
Yeah.
He's boxing there as well, and a very good fight, which will be announcing on Monday. Rumour has it it's Brian Rosie's fighting. Be a fantastic fight out. No, and so there's guys who, and girls as well. Sophie Alish, superstar,
Yeah, I was gonna say
superstar of
that,
the future. But they've got to step it up and perform now. You
Yeah.
know, they've got to perform. It's been a tough time for German boxing because there's been events. Universal's done a great series of events in their gym and things like that. It's not really what we're about in Germany.
It's not quite
what we do. And what I've done, in German boxing is fill the biggest venues and that the rest of it. So, that's where we want, that level we want to get to, and that's something that we need. You can't base it on,
Social media.
Yeah,
you need a fighter.
you need a fighter who's going to perform. So it's but there are very, very talented athletes out there at the moment. Looking very, very excited about it.
Okay. Kalle, thank you very much. Interesting chat. Spoke COVID, Latvia politics. Good luck with everything. Take care.
Thank you very much.